Ever had a headache so bad that even the sound of someone breathing felt like a jackhammer in your skull? For decades, doctors told us migraines were just vascular headaches, a simple case of blood vessels in your brain swelling and shrinking. But medical science has completely flipped the script. A migraine isn't just a severe headache, it's a full blown electrical and chemical storm taking over your central nervous system. If you or someone you know suffers from them, here is what is actually happening inside your brain. Imagine your brain has an invisible security fence designed to filter out the noise of the world. For most people, this fence is high enough to comfortably block out background chatter, flickering fluorescent lights, strong smells, and routine stress. If you are prone to migraines, your fence is built much lower. Your brain cells live in a state of hyperexcitability. They are essentially on high alert 24/7, reacting far too easily and far too intensely to normal, everyday signals. When sensory input gets too intense, a skipped meal, a sudden storm, or a screen you've been staring at for hours, your low fence gets breached. Your brain reaches a breaking point and trips a major pain network, the trigeminal vascular system. Think of this system as the main sensory alarm network for your entire head. Once activated, it unleashes a quick four-step chain reaction. Step 1. Everyday stimuli overwhelm your sensitive brain cells. Step 2. The trigeminal nerve, the primary pain pathway in your head, fires off intense distress signals. Step 3. The nerve endings flood the surrounding area with inflammatory signaling proteins, specifically CGRP, calcitonin gene-related peptide. Step 4. CGRP forces nearby blood vessels to dilate and inflame adjacent tissues, sending pounding waves of pain straight to your consciousness. Blood vessel swelling isn't the root cause of a migraine. The swelling is simply the fire caused by an electrical glitch in an oversensitive brain. When we talk about migraines, most people picture the pain, the blinding, pulsing headache that traps you in a dark, quiet room. But here's something that surprises a lot of people. About 70% to 80% of migraine sufferers experience migraines without an aura, while only about 20% to 30% experience an aura. So, what actually determines whether your brain gives you a visual warning system or hits you out of nowhere? Let's break down the two distinct ways this brainstorm unfolds. Path 1. Migraine with aura. If you have a migraine with aura, your storm starts with a massive, localized electrical event across the surface of your brain. Before any pain starts, an electrical wave called cortical spreading depression, CSD, slowly creeps across your visual cortex at a rate of 2 to 5 millimeters per minute. As this wave fires up your neurons, you see flashing lights, zigzag lines, or shimmering spots. As the neurons temporarily short-circuit behind the wave, blind spots or dark patches open up in your field of vision. For some, this electrical wave drifts into sensory regions, causing tingling or numbness that moves up the arm into the face, or temporary speech difficulty. As that creeping wave reaches the trigeminal nerve fibers on the brain's surface, it triggers a flood of CGRP, opening the floodgates to severe throbbing headache pain. Path 2. Migraine without aura. So what happens if you don't get an aura? Does that mean CSD isn't happening? Medical science suggests that in migraines without aura, the electrical disruption either occurs in silent regions of the brain, where it doesn't cause visual distortions, or it stays below the cortical surface in deep brain structures like the hypothalamus and brainstem. Instead of seeing flashes of light, your early warning signals are subtle. Body changes, hours or days before the headache. Sudden fatigue, intense food cravings, mood shifts, or neck stiffness. Without an obvious visual show, the deep brain centers directly activate the trigeminal vascular system, releasing CGRP and causing inflammation, throbbing pain, nausea, and extreme sensitivity to light and sound. So why is one person's brain naturally calm while another's is wired like a live electrical wire, just waiting to spark a migraine. It isn't just bad luck. It comes down to four major factors working behind the scenes, gradually filling up what neurologists call your migraine bucket. When that bucket overflows, the storm hits. Let's break down the four drivers behind a hyperexcitable brain. 1. Genetic wiring. First, migraines heavily run in families. If your parents or siblings get them, you likely inherited genes that code for leaky ion channels in your brain cells. Think of ion channels like microscopic gates that control electricity in your nerves. In a migraine-prone brain, these gates let ions like calcium and sodium flow too freely. This makes your neurons naturally hyper-alert, twitchy, and prone to firing out of control at the slightest push. 2. The chemical imbalance. Inside your brain, chemical messengers called neurotransmitters balance your mood, sensory processing, and pain levels. In a migraine brain, three key chemicals fall completely out of sync. Serotonin acts as your brain's natural pain filter. When serotonin levels suddenly plunge, your brain loses its ability to block incoming pain signals, opening the gates for the trigeminal nerve to fire. Shifts in dopamine trigger those weird early symptoms hours before the pain hits, like sudden yawning, intense sugar cravings, mood swings, and nausea. Glutamate is your brain's main excitatory chemical. High levels keep your brain cells in a hyperactive state, making it far easier for an electrical storm to spread across your cortex. 3. Hormonal shifts. Ever wonder why women experience migraines 3 times more often than men? The main culprit is estrogen. Estrogen directly regulates how sensitive your brain cells are and how much pain-causing CGRP gets released. But high or low estrogen isn't the primary problem. It's the sudden drop. A sharp drop in estrogen right before a period, after childbirth, or during perimenopause leaves brain cells temporarily unregulated and defenseless. 4. Environmental triggers. If genetics, chemicals, and hormones load the gun, environmental triggers pull the trigger. They push your sensitive brain past its tipping point. High stress floods your body with cortisol. Interestingly, the sudden crash in stress when your weekend starts can trigger a letdown migraine. Staying up late or sleeping in throws off your brainstem's strict biological clock, disrupting serotonin. Aged cheeses, tyramine, cured meats, nitrites, and additives provoke sudden chemical surges. Bright lights, strong perfumes, and loud noises overwhelm your processing capacity. Storms and weather shifts change the pressure inside your head, irritating nerve pathways. Your genetics, hormones, and baseline chemistry set the size of your migraine bucket. But environmental triggers are what fill it up until it overflows. Here's the good news. While you can't easily alter your DNA, you have total authority over what enters your immediate environment. By making key adjustments to how you handle light, sound, nutrition, and everyday chemicals, you can raise your brain's threshold, making it far harder for an electrical storm to ever take root. 1. Calibrating your eyes. Photosensitivity isn't just about bright light. It's about sudden contrast. When harsh light hits a sensitive retina, it sends an electrical surge straight to an already hyperexcitable brain. To prevent this shock, you need to condition your eyes progressively throughout the day. Get 15 to 30 minutes of natural sunlight early in the day without looking directly at the sun or wearing dark sunglasses. Early morning light is rich in red and near-infrared wavelengths that condition your retinal cells without overstimulating them. Sleeping in a pitch-black room until late morning causes your pupils to stay wide open. Stepping straight into intense afternoon sun triggers a massive electrical surge straight to your visual cortex. If you stay inside, keep your blinds wide open. Bright, indirect natural light keeps your pupils adapted, preventing sudden sensitivity spikes when moving between rooms. 2. Guarding your ears. Loud, sudden noise triggers your brainstem to unleash fight or flight stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, forcing your auditory cortex into overdrive. To protect your brain's auditory system, use two main daily habits. Avoid blasting loud music, checking news, or turning on the TV the second you open your eyes. Giving your freshly awakened brain 15 to 30 minutes of silence allows your brain waves to transition smoothly into calm alertness. Deep breathing activates your parasympathetic rest and digest network. Over time, regular meditation lowers what scientists call central gain. It turns down the volume knob on how aggressively your brain amplifies incoming sound. 3. Fueling your brain's pain brake. Serotonin acts as your brain's natural pain brake pedal. When serotonin levels drop, your brain loses its capacity to filter out pain signals traveling up from your brainstem. You can boost serotonin production through two natural steps. 1. Sunlight and vitamin D UV rays hitting your skin synthesize vitamin D, which directly turns on the gene for TPH2, the primary enzyme responsible for converting tryptophan into serotonin in the brain. 2. Nutrition and cofactors. Your body cannot build serotonin without key raw materials. Eat tryptophan-rich foods like eggs, poultry, salmon, pumpkin seeds, and tofu. So your brain requires vitamin B6, magnesium, zinc, and iron to complete the chemical conversion into active serotonin. So eating oats, brown rice, or sweet potatoes triggers a gentle insulin release, which helps clear competing amino acids so tryptophan can cross the blood-brain barrier smoothly. 4. Clearing the baseline, removing caffeine and alcohol. Finally, routine use of caffeine and alcohol keeps your brain on a neurochemical roller coaster, creating artificial spikes followed by severe receptor crashes that lower your brain's threshold for pain. The problem with caffeine. Caffeine blocks adenosine, your brain's natural fatigue chemical, and floods your adrenals with cortisol. Eliminating caffeine allows adenosine receptors to reset and calms the nervous system. The problem with alcohol. Alcohol acts as a GABA sedative while you drink, but as it leaves your system, your brain produces a massive rebound surge of glutamate, the main excitatory chemical that drives migraines. Removing alcohol stabilizes your GABA and glutamate balance. When you remove these artificial stimulants, your natural dopamine and serotonin receptors upregulate within 2 to 4 weeks, granting your nervous system significantly higher resistance against daily environmental triggers. If there is one thing you take away from today, let it be this. A migraine is not your fault, and it is not just a bad headache. It is a biological, high-voltage response from a hypersensitive brain trying to navigate an overwhelming world. For years, we were told to just sit in the dark, take a painkiller, and wait for the storm to pass. But medical science has finally given us the blueprint. We know the engine. We know how the low-security fence lets in sensory overload, how the trigeminal nerve trips the alarm, and how chemicals like CGRP flood the system with pain. Most importantly, we now know that while genetics and hormones might load the gun, environment pulls the trigger. You do not have to be a passive victim to your brain's wiring. Every time you step into the morning sun to condition your eyes, every time you give yourself 20 minutes of quiet before reaching for your phone, every time you feed your body the raw blocks to build serotonin, and every time you clear out artificial chemical spikes, you are actively rebuilding that security fence. You are raising your brain's threshold. You are making it harder and harder for the storm to take root. Living with a hyperexcitable brain means you are wired to feel the world more intensely than most. But with the right habits, the right understanding, and the right environment, you can turn down the volume, tame the storm, and take back control of your life. Thank you for watching. Keep protecting your peace, and I'll see you in the next video.